Every great movement in our society that has ever changed the world came through music. And we believe music is the wave that God is sending to change everything in our culture. About 10 years ago, as a part of a youth ministry, we began to write our own music. As we did that, it began to touch their lives, and we knew that we had something special.
The journey with Worth Dying For in that season I was able to be part of was absolutely incredible. Those are moments that were incredible, years and years of Worth Dying For, memories that I will never forget. But you know, there's this moment where Pastor Jeremy decided it's time to move and to pursue and pioneer a church.
We found out church planting is a lot harder than it seems. And we just really had to hunker down and dig into this ground that God called us to. It was worth it because we've seen so many souls won, and really I think Worth Dying For went below the radar because there was something new in us God was doing. We couldn't quite understand it. We couldn't quite figure it out. We had to pull back so it could be replanted.
When we moved to Los Angeles as Worth Dying For, we just felt God telling us, let's put a pause on the music and focus on this city, this awesome city behind us.
That music won't die in our hearts, but that movement and that season has to come to an end.
At the moment, I feel that God has just been completely blowing us away with what He's been doing in our church and in our city. I mean, we have people come into our church that used to be on the streets right next to where our church is, and now they're lifting their hands and they're worshiping God and they're praising Him and they're giving Him everything.
And we're honored to just be a moment in people's lives when they experience Christ, and that's what gives us the strength and the energy to wake up and to give all that we have serving.
The addictions or the pain or the hurt that people have experienced just naturally just come off and become alive.
Even till recently, just seeing people that I'm so close to who lived in such another way come to experience the love of God through one service, and then now becoming significant leaders in Fearless, and their whole life is just transformed. It's such an inspiring thing to see and be a part of.
A huge vision of our church is really just to believe in people. Pastor Jeremy once described our church as a dream factory. He wants to be able just to pull that little strand of God out of them, that little strand of creativity, and make them become what God has created them to be.
And so that's what we've been doing for the last 3 years, is just holding off on releasing music and allowing God to write songs inside of us.
We probably have over 100 songs we've been writing that have been just brewing in us. And we've wanted to release them so many times, but we knew it wasn't yet the time. When you did it on In the Dark, I hear you calling my name.
Try with the music so you can feel it.
You know, every movement needs a soundtrack, and I feel like Fearless is more than just a church, it's a movement.
In the dark, I hear you calling my name.
The name Worth Dying For, it served us very well, and when we went to plant our church, God spoke to me and said, I want you to start a new season and a new era where you name things radical and positive. And so we named our church Fearless. It was so epic how people, no matter who you were, could rally around this call to be fearless. So we feel like it's just time. It's time for our band to be called the same thing as the movement that God has branded us with, to fearlessly make His name known.
We've been so encouraged to really express our heart, to really connect with what God is doing in Fearless.
This music that we're getting ready to release is really just the soundtrack of that, the soundtrack of what God's doing here in LA.
And we're in such a cool time right now in the music industry where we don't have to release an album all at once. And although we have 60 songs that we're looking through and we have a full album ready to go, we just thought, how cool would it be if we released one song a month and we just empower churches to sing that song and we give them everything they need.
We want to take what we're doing and we want to help you partner around the world to shape and change your city and your youth ministry.
From chord charts to loops to lyric videos to sermon series to imagery, we empower churches to say, play the song, lead it, and have an awesome encounter with God.
I want to give you tools that your church can rally behind and see a world shifted from your local neighborhood to every part of the world.
That's what we want to spend this season doing for a couple years, is love dreamers. I mean, we want to believe in dreamers, but how do we see that dream come to pass in people's lives?
I feel like the music of Fearless, I want people to be able to listen to it in their car and rock out to it. I want people to be able to put it on in their prayer time. I picture dudes before they go out and play football, or someone's about to go do this epic thing they're called to. They're rocking this music and it's inspiring them, encouraging them to be fearless.
And so when we started to write these songs, we just recognized that Los Angeles is a city that everyone looks to. The world looks to this city as an example of what's next. And whether that's fashion or it's the music industry or it's entertainment industry, Los Angeles sets the pace for the world. And so what better place to write music and say, if this city is going to be an example to the world, it needs to shine bright, it needs to shine loudly the love of Jesus, and it needs to show that in a powerful way.
I love it. There's folk, there's hip hop, there's pop, there is ballads that allow you to just go into a deeper place of worship. It kind of sets the tone for anyone just to be able to listen and be able to enjoy different parts of it. I think that's the beauty of what we are releasing.
I believe that when we're writing these songs, you know, they're birthed out of experience and they're birthed out of brokenness in our life.
There's so many stories of people who have sickness, whatever it be, but we've taken our roots and we've planted it in Jesus, and we've said we're not going to listen to the fear, but we're going to let faith rise and we're going to become fearless.
And I think it's the best thing to describe our music, that our music is fearless. We're going to push the bonds and the boundaries of music on every angle. And at least some people will say, I don't know if that's worship. But from our hearts, we see it igniting a whole generation on fire for their God.